Good morning. It is Thursday, November 27th, 2025, Thanksgiving Day. I'm standing at 14th Avenue East and 4th Street, continuing with the Monitors project of visiting all the parks in the city, from smallest to largest. We started at park number 162, and we have now worked our way up to park number 12 at 135.23 acres. It is Chester Park. Getting up to all the famous parks now. And picturesque waterfall coming down through the ice there. Chester Creek. Chester Park, well, Lower Chester, which is where we are now, runs from 4th Street up to Skyline. This part was established in 1891. And Upper Chester, which is above Skyline and where the ski hill is and the little chalet and those kind of things, that was established in 1920.
Hey, Tucker, walk down those stairs.
Okay. This park was originally named Garfield Park, but the name was changed to Chester in 1902. A murder of crows up there. A murder of crows up in the tree over there. Here I'm hollering. The other side there. So for this video, I think I'll walk from 4th Street, where I started, up to Skyline. You can see how heavily used this park is. We got a pretty good snow day and a half ago, and all the trails are already well beaten down. Ice forming on the pools. Well, since it's Thanksgiving, I suppose I should say, I am thankful for all these parks that Duluth has. So much of life these days is centered around shopping and cars. And that just consumes huge amounts of the landscape, just the infrastructure for those two things. I'm going to stop and get a picture here with my other camera. Try not to drop it in the creek. One up there, the way. You can see the gorge there. Looks pretty wild. Even though this is a heavily used park, you can't really get down there unless you're willing to walk in the creek, so it stays wild appearing. So, given the priorities of modern life, huge amounts of land are given over to shopping and cars, driving. And you go to some places, a lot of places, and that's all there is. You drive from one shopping center to the next. There's no relief. Duluth has a lot of parks that offer that type of relief. I mean, even so, I went to school in Ann Arbor, Michigan from 1988 to 1994. Took me 5.5 years to get my 4-year degree in natural resources management, which I never did anything with. But they had parks, nice parks in that city, but it never felt wild. The trails are wide and beaten down and heavily used, and that's the same in Duluth with the major parks like Chester here. These trails are heavily used. But Duluth still has parks that actually do feel wild and actually are wild, especially out on the western side of town. And that is extremely rare these days. In Ann Arbor, I'd go to Kmart to get my oil changed, and then while I'm waiting, I'd go wander around the belts of trees that were between shopping centers. Never really thought about why. I just always ended up doing that. Duluth has such a steep and rugged landscape for much of it that a lot of it has just not been developed just by default, just because it's too hard, too difficult, too expensive. And that has allowed these large areas of green space to remain in places. Leicester and Amity out on the east side is pretty good too. Although ever since the mountain bikers have taken over everything, there's trails all over the place out there. This is a big gorge here. Pretty cool. Watch your step. I would always be nervous bringing my kids past here. Kids are so heedless a lot of times, running and not paying attention. This would not be a great place to have a misstep. Well, by the time I get back home, I expect Thanksgiving will be in full swing. Probably most of the food will be ready. Good timing. Oh, look at all this. That's picturesque. Even invasives can look pretty when they're covered with snow. I'll get some pictures here. Make a jigsaw puzzle out of that picture, huh? Drive yourself mad trying to solve it. Oh, this is nice. Look at this. I got my other little camera here, so just grab a few pics. Yeah, this was one of the very first parks I came to when I moved to Duluth in 1998. I was living on 19th Avenue East, just a few blocks from here. Coming up on the 8th Street Bridge, or the 9th Street Bridge, however you want to call it. On that end it's 8th Street, and on that end it's 9th Street. So doggy on a leash, appreciate that. Hi doggy, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Have a good one.
You too. And this here is home of the famous Beat It graffiti. I've been here 27 years and I have not seen anybody beat that graffiti. Nobody's got further out to the middle, so looks like somebody came close with a slap, but I wouldn't say that beats it. I was debating whether to do Upper Chester or Lower Chester. Settled on Lower Chester. Upper Chester has interesting things too. There's some old trail, old stonework, stone steps up there in the woods, and there's a cell phone tower disguised as a pine tree. That's always interesting. Oh, the sun's out. Haven't seen the sun in a while. It's been a gray and gloomy few days. And looks like we have a tree here. Can use my standby joke. They're sprucing up the trail. Well, I guess it does have a little bit of a wild feel today with this tree in our way. Oh, one-handed negotiation here. Doesn't seem to have stopped too many people. Trail's still all beat down. Look at that. Just snapped right off. Some nice white pines here. Nice white pine. This one's pretty good size. Very picturesque glimpse up the creek. Big old dead pine tree there. Surprised that one didn't come down in the winds the other day. Holiday decorations. All the trees are decorated in white. Oh, here's another branch or part of a white pine came down here. It was just pining to be on the trail. Where'd that even come from? Oh, straight up there. See that? That branch came down. One time in my life, I was in the woods and I heard a tree fall. It was unusual. It wasn't even windy either, it was on Isle Royale. We were just sitting there. Ooh, nice. And across the lake, across Lake Desor, crash! Little footbridge here. Man, another one. Some trees came down here. Saw a news story a couple days ago. A guy was snow blowing up by Two Harbors and he actually was killed when a tree fell on him. Tragic event. Can happen. So what do we got here? Spruce, another spruce. And it looks like a white pine branch fell down up there too on top of that. Huh. Look at that white pine, how much that's leaning. That could fall, or it could stay there for another 100 years. Who knows? Look at all these, how they lean. You don't see a lot of white pines that big anymore. They're here and there, but most of those got logged out more than a century ago. Oh, a little corridor of white. Get my other camera here. All the trees bowing overhead to let me through. Bowing with respect as passerbys go through. Passers-by. Well, this is good. I wasn't expecting the sun to be out. And now all of a sudden, you got a very picturesque walk. Little reward for Thanksgiving. Here's a big white pine. The biggest ones I've ever seen have been on Isle Royale. But this is a good size here. I see some 5-footers out there. They talk about measuring at breast height, diameter breast height, DBH. So what's this? Maybe 3.5 feet DBH or so. That's a good one. Yeah, Isle Royale, there was some that were almost 6 feet DBH. Huge. Not many, but here and there. Here's another big one. Some biggies in here. These are old growth right here. These are here when Duluth was established as a city. Which is 1870. Oh, it's getting narrow here. I'll just step aside here. This will work. Yeah, it is beautiful. Back when this was created as a park, the News Tribune talked about the primeval forest in the heart of the city, something like that. And they didn't develop it too much. They just wanted to keep it wild like that, which is kind of nice. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can really do because it's another one of these narrow parks following a creek and then steep sides on either side. Tough to develop those steep sides with much of anything. Up above Skyline in Upper Chester is Chester Bowl, which is a rare area of level ground. And that's where the sports-oriented part of the park is. Soccer fields up there. And like a bandstand, and that's where they have like festivals and stuff. I mean, if you didn't see the trails, you could be out in the middle of the woods here, really. So, several people out so far on Thanksgiving Day, we have seen. I was at Kitchigami Park earlier. I was going to get up and do it at daybreak, but that was out of the question. Finally ended up getting out there about 9. Wow, sun is out full bore now. I might grab Anger Park after this, now that the sun is out, and B, there's no wind. I do have groceries in the car for Thanksgiving, so I suppose I got to get those back home at some point here. But yeah, I might go do Anger Park after this. I used to walk this with my kids. One of my previous reporting gigs was with the Reader. Got paid in gift cards to restaurants. And one of those restaurants was Burrito Union, down there where we started on 4th Street. So the boys and I would take walks and then end up at the Burrito Union and use those gift cards for lunch. Skyline Parkway up there. Chester Park here, or Chester Creek, was the original eastern end or beginning of Skyline Parkway. Originally it ran from Chester Creek in the east to Miller Creek in the west, where Lincoln Park is now. The Boulevard, or Terrace Parkway as it was known then. And there's this bit of a challenging section here where it gets slippery. Hopefully I don't wipe out here. Hard to believe it's almost 30 minutes on this video. I don't recall this ever taking that long. Maybe I'm just getting old, slowing down. Take a look here. Yeah, the pools are icing up. Wouldn't walk on them yet, but soon. Oh, and there's the wind. Well, we've reached our objective, Skyline Parkway. Park number 12, Chester Park. Thanks for watching.